Tonight's guests attest to there being some traditional or cultural mindsets and practices that stand in the way of wealth creation. Nicolette Mashile is a South African woman who says she found herself sleeping on her sister's couch after failing university in 2010 and having subsequently been disowned by her father. 7 years later, she is a property investor before the age of 30, having bought the first 2 houses cash. She has over 100,000 people following her financial literacy Facebook page and now has television and radio shows as well. Having caught up with her at the recent Key Wealth Annual Financial Education Conference, Nicolette explains why she says African culture is keeping us poor.
I think African culture is absolutely amazing because African culture has, you know what the beauty about African culture is that it is common in every part of Africa. And even if an African moves to America, African culture is African culture. You know you are not going to point a finger at your mother. It's a fact. Whereas with other cultures, you can point fingers at your mom, you can tell mom you're wrong. But in African culture, you don't do it, which is fine. And I always say, for me, in everything, I look for the positives. There are instances where African culture can become a hindrance to progression. My father's got 4 daughters. We all came out as girls. Must he now keep trying until he has a son? Children are expensive, you know, and especially in this day and age, you can't just keep trying to have children because you're waiting for this young boy that's going to come in fresh. Let me try and tell you something about children. There's absolutely no guarantee. My parents did not foresee me failing because when I was growing up, I was a leader at school. Everybody thought I was top of my class. I was a star child. Everybody believed in me, do you understand? Then I spent 4 years and I don't get a degree. I come back and I'm a university dropout. So there is no guarantee with children. You might have that son and he might come out and become trash, literally. So it's very important that we don't take African culture. And sometimes I always say it's the interpretation. Because what we do is we hold on to certain things that justify our arguments. When you're arguing with a person, let's talk an intimate partner. When you argue with your intimate partner, you hold on to those assertions that you believe are correct. Sometimes you don't open yourself up to even seeing another person's point of view because you're so assertive in what it is that you believe to a point where it actually, it does not help the conversation, help the argument because all you're doing is saying, but I'm correct. And I think that's the thing about African culture is that there is a gap in it that people can use to create hindrance to financial progression. It's things like financial planning. Guys, financial planning this is not science, eh? It's not an amazing thing. You need to, a child is a financial implication. Children need to be fed, children need to be clothed, children need medical aid. Just giving birth, okay, is an expense. Just being pregnant, it's an expense. So it's very important that we financially plan. And in African culture, you don't financially plan. Another thing that we don't do in the African culture is that we don't ask our parents what they're doing with their money because money is not supposed to, that's how we will handle it. What is this? This is how we've got women who are being validated by money because women are never taught about money. Women are expected to just understand that there is money in the house. There's a woman who her husband just passed away. Well, he passed away 3 years ago. The other day, they came knocking at her door. City Power, they're switching off her lights. Why are they switching off her lights? Because she doesn't know that she must pay the lights. She thought the lights get paid miraculously with the bond. Njani, we're talking about a bank here and a government institution. How are the lights getting paid by your bond? But because she's never been involved in the finances in the house, because her husband probably said, don't worry, babe, I'll take care of it. Now this man is dead, and now your lights are being switched off because you don't even know that you gotta pay City. You understand? So those kind of things are very important that in as much as we are observing our culture and being true to our culture, it is also important that our culture grows with us. That's what culture is. Culture is not static. Culture evolves. And the sooner we start understanding that, the sooner things will get better.
Nicolette has loads more to share after the break, so do stay tuned.
What is the future of help? It's to help people find the great in themselves. The drive, the passion. Help them find their true potential. Help them stretch. Help them grow. That's why we help people help themselves, help the world. Because a little help goes a long, long way. FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues, as this evening we continue to hear some ideas, beliefs and attitudes that are said to be hampering people's aspirations for financial freedom. Popular South African media personality, entrepreneur and financial advisor Nicolette Mashile of the hashtag Bereka Mosadi fame says explicitly that African culture is keeping us poor, citing sayings such as "sekoloto ke bophelo" and "malapa ga nke a lekana." She explains why.
Everything that you say, especially to do with money, you're creating a money culture in your family. In South Africa, we've got this thing where if you are in debt, you get called by debt collectors with a private number, and then people ignore it. And then they say, "Oh, I'm sure I get a call auto. Oh, I'm sure I get a call." You are teaching your child, first of all, that private numbers get a call auto. Number two, that it's okay to run away from your dikoloto. Or you pick up the phone and you say to the person on the other side of the line, "Wena una skoloto na? Skoloto ke bophelo." You are teaching your child. Basically, you are indoctrinating in them that skoloto, debt, is the way of life. So it's important that, in the things that we do, especially in our family homes where we've got children around us, we're very careful of the things that we say, especially things that have to do with a money culture, your relationship with money. Most of us, we've grown up being told, if you want something, they say, "Emela the end of the month." What happens? Children now understand that mommy gets money, but they don't understand how that happens. So you need to be able to teach children that every single day when you wake up, you're going to make money. And the thing is, that's the thing about African cultures, because we don't have these conversations openly. It's rather, let's not have these conversations. Then children get to understand, we never talk about money. So Nicolette now is a young woman going into the next relationship. My father took care of everything in the house to a point where my father bought my mom her car. He bought my mom a car, he buys my mom her cell phone. He chooses the color of everything for her because he's got the money. So in my head, the man makes financial decisions. I'm not going into my own relationship in the modern society now, and I'm still expecting a man to make financial decisions for me. To what end? Do you understand? So those are some of the things that I always say. We need to be very careful of what it is that we preach and what it is that we teach, because it's easy for people to just adapt. Children are impressionable. People around you that lack information about what it is that you're doing are impressionable. So whenever I post about my properties, if I post my stock portfolio, people will send me emails or messages and say, "Please, I want to get into stock. Please, I want to get into property." No. That's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to make money. But because you don't know how to make money, you want to latch on the things of the people that you think are making money. And that's a problem, because I could say I'm in property making a loss. I could be losing my money every single day in the stock market. I could be losing my money, but because you assume that she knows better than me, because you do not go out and get your own information. You assume that I know. And that's human nature. Monkey see, monkey do. So if you see somebody that you have put on a pedestal, you tend to want to copy everything that they want to do. So I always say, let's get ourselves to a position where we can mold the money culture of Black people, especially the way we think about money, how we see money, because some of us think money is like the best thing in the world. Money really isn't. It's not so great. It's what you do with money that's amazing, because you can sit with millions of rands, millions of pula, but if you don't know what to do with the money for you to be able to create more money, then you might as well not be sitting on any single nothing, literally. I mean, there's instances you ask about other things that we do. I always take them back to debt, because debt is the biggest thing. But how do we expect people to go out and buy houses when their parents have never bought houses? So in the family, we don't talk about property, because no one has ever bought property in the house. But because that's what our parents did. They built their own houses. But they can't even teach you how to go out and create wealth. We always talk about buying property with somebody else's money. Our parents don't know that. They've never rented their properties. It's all these modern things that are happening now that we need to quickly adapt to. And I think the most important thing that I always say and encourage people is that you millennials of now, you young people of now, it is your absolute duty to go out there and teach your families how to run, how to manage money, how to build proper relationships with money. I always talk about dating in your financial lane, and I get a backlash because people are like, "What do you mean? Money, love and money don't go hand in hand," whatever. I'm like, listen, okay. When I talk about dating in your financial lane, I'm not saying that you need to find a man who's got the same amount of money as you. What what are you trying to achieve with that? Because you're both going to end up going on vacation only to Cape Town, all right? You need to choose a person who thinks and understands money the way you do. He might have a step above you. You might be a step above him and have better progression in terms of money. But he needs to think about it the same way you do. You need to understand what money does. You need to have the similar relationship with money. Because if you don't, and you marry a stingy man, you will never see the lights of New York or Cape Town all the time, because that's what he believes is, money support. That's exactly, so it's very important that we build a culture around money that we actually believe in. Savings culture, investing culture, thinking about future. Because you know what people do? And then they buy like this car. Let's say they've got 12,000 in disposable income. They buy a car that is going to take that entire 12,000 rand every month. After 3 years, I get a nearly what, 4 years, repayment loan. In 2 years' time, you fall pregnant. Now you gotta find some money to be able to support this pregnancy of yours. Where is it going to come from if your money is tied up in a car? Savings culture. Let's rebuild a new black culture against how we see money and the relationships we've got with money.
You explicitly said that you don't speak to men because you don't understand them. So I take it your core audience is young black females.
Yeah.
What is the number one question young black women ask you consistently?
How do I make money?
Okay, that's a good question.
It's a good question. It's a good question when you have not scrutinized what money is, and you have not gotten, because my follow-up question to them all the time is, what do you think money is? And then you get all sorts of answers. Money is freedom. Money is access. Money is a currency. Money is the exchange of things. And I speak to, and when I say I don't speak to black men, the only reason why I don't speak to young black men is because they're very patriarchal, and they always talk about, no, we are feminists, we're pro-feminists, and then you see them at a braai and they still expect you to go, well, at the late, and then you're just like, you guys are not feminists yet, so please, let's not go there. So until men change their patriarchal ways, we're not going to talk to them. We're going to make our own money. So I think it's because they don't want to relinquish the power. That's the problem. Is that the moment we tell them that they must become feminists, they now need to relinquish power. Where we shouldn't even be having power dynamics between women and men, you know what I mean? So the thing that we need, the thing that I always teach young women, whenever they ask me the question about how do I make money, I say, what does money mean to you? What does money do for you? Does it validate you? Do you feel like you are prettier if you've got money? Do you feel more important if you've got money? What does money do to you? What emotion does money evoke in you? That when you've got money, you walk with a different step. Hey? Because you know, okay, I know I'm sorted. Even when the guy hits on you in the club, I can afford my own drinks, please, I don't need you.
Yeah.
Right? But the day you don't have money, and that's when we start to see your character as a person. The day you don't have money, what is it that you're willing to do to be able to get money? What are the things that you now bend? I always say you must have negotiables and non-negotiables. What are the things that under your non-negotiable that you're willing to bend when you don't have money? Because that's when we see your true character. So for me, I always say, I can speak to men about general things, because also when they see me, they're like, we're not gonna try to like that attitude is just stupid. I mean, really, like, get out of your clout. So I always talk to women because I feel like women are amazing at handling money when they have the advantage of knowing, when they understand. That's why you will see that a father will pay for school fees, I reckon maybe the big high-level pay bond, but the mom is still expected to run the house. Running a house is not just on water. You're running a house on a budget. And a woman work with the small budget that they've got. They know how to find a way to shrink a budget so that everybody in the family is happy. I mean, we'll talk about we all grew up with nothing. But mommy made sure you ate, Yes, sometimes it is with the support of dad. But the reality is that dance.
What is the future of help? It's to help people find the great in themselves. The drive, the passion. Help them find their true potential. Help them stretch. Help them grow. That's why we help people help themselves, help the world. Because a little help goes a long, long way. FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues as we continue our conversation with social entrepreneur Nicolette Mashile about getting your mind right about your money. What is money, Nicolette?
Money is a means. It's a means to things. But the one thing you must never be controlled by is money. You need to tell your money what it needs to do. It can't, I always give this example of, I walk into a restaurant, I want to eat lobster. But now lobster is 1,000 rand. Now I can't eat lobster because it's 1,000 rand. I must now eat crayfish. That's not what I came for, you know. And once you understand how that works, it's very important. I always say to people, I also give this example of being outside an exam room and having a pen. And a student comes and they've got no pen and they're about to write their final exam. This is an exam that can either get them to pass their degree or not. You have a pen, they don't have a pen, they need you. You can sell that pen at any amount. They will buy it. At any amount, they will buy it because it's crunch time. But if you and I are sitting right here now and you try to sell me a pen, I'm negotiating. And that's what people need to understand. What is money opening you up for? Because the value of money is what you give it. You might have 10,000 rand and be the happiest person in the world. And that's all you need. Somebody might be sitting with 5 million rand, 5 million pula in their account and still be miserable because they don't understand the value of money.
What has been the most useful resource that you use to educate yourself? Because you said yourself, you made it a point to educate yourself, find out why you do the things you do with your money and equip yourself. You've ended up buying 4 properties before the age of 30. You know, I know you're saying you don't have money, but that is not the norm.
Every day when I wake up, I'm like, wow.
It's not every 28-year-old who has 29-year-old who has properties and an investment portfolio.
Look, I've been really lucky, and I always put this out into the world that I've been lucky. You know, my story is not the same as everyone's story, and luckily our stories will never be the same. You know, so it will be easy for me. It will be easy for me and very hypocritical for me to stand here and say work hard, because that's what they tell people: work hard, do this, do that, don't sleep, team, no sleep. Yeah. You know, team whatever, team hustle. Listen, you're still human, eh? You are still a human being. You know, we all want to be like Oprah. We all want to be like Sisangeblana. We all want to be these amazing people that make lots of money from. I always say timing and opportunity really, really works in your favor. That's why I say there's power in speaking to human beings. Open your mouth and speak. I learned my biggest resource has been people. Wow. Because you know what happens is when you ask me a question that I don't know, I go home and I Google. I want to know what you are talking about. When I write, if I sit and I hear something that I don't understand, I'm just like, hey, guys, let's not be ignorant. Eh? Because my father always said to me, don't be ignorant. Ignorance is a perfume that you wear. People can smell ignorance from far. Some of us are stuck as, we're in adult bodies, but we're children. Because it's easy to just say, I don't know. No, it's your duty to go out. If you don't know, to go out and find that information. So for me, that's how my learning has been. And you will see that a lot of people in my page will make suggestions. They'll say, please do a video on this. Please, I don't do videos on things I don't know. Don't do videos on things I've got no personal experiences on. People have asked me to do videos on Bitcoin. I've been asked to do videos on buying houses and cars at auctions. I can't. I don't know. I've got the information. I mean, for me to even know that Bitcoin is on blockchain, whatever, that's me reading. But because I don't really understand what it actually means up until I experience it, you know, I'm waiting for that opportunity to be able to experience it, and then I can go out and say, so from what they tell you and what I've experienced, these things match, or there's a mismatch. You know, so for me, really my source of information has been, I'm a millennial. I don't believe in one source of information. People will tell you that books are not obsolete yet because books will always be there. Books carry a legacy, and granted they do. I'm writing a book, but the reality of life is that if you don't adapt, technology is going to leave you behind, and because that are in books and not quotes that we are aware of. So it's a mix of, information of the internet. It's a mix of, but take information on the internet with a pinch of salt because people are editing it. So I always, whenever I type in something that I'm looking for, I always write PDF at the end because PDFs for me are a little bit more, trustworthy, meatier. I do Google Books. I do Scholar Reports. Juicer is my favorite. My 3 principles, I live by the big principle, BIG, books, individuals, and goals. I know what the books I'm reading. I'm clear on the books I'm reading. So I always say, read stories. Read about people's lives. Read about the story of Oprah, the story of Elon Musk, the story of Richard Branson. Read books that you would never read. Read the book on Sir Alex Ferguson. There are principles in there. You might not like soccer, but read his book because you will find some principles in there that you're like, man, this actually makes sense. So I always say, find the right stories to read. Find the right people to listen to. The right individuals. Don't hang around with friends that are losers, because you are also the other loser. You just don't know. So it's very important that the people that you hang around with are a representation of who you are. The people that you date and get into intimate relationships, they must be a representation of who you are. Because wa go embarrass this person. So, and then the goals. Have goals and be assertive in your goals. Don't let other people push you around. It's funny. I don't know if you know Tando Tabet. If you watch Generations, there's a girl called Nolwazi on the show. She's now leaving Generations. Very big in South Africa, has done absolutely amazing work. Her friends from University of Johannesburg talk about it, and every time they talk about it, they say, Tando used to go to all her auditions, despite the fact that we'd be hanging around, or we went out the night before and we were all hanging. If she had an audition the next day, she would wake up and go to her auditions because she was clear on her goals. She knew exactly what it is that she was doing. Any other person would be like, oh, and I'm still chilling with my friends, They shift their goalposts. Because if they don't realize a certain goal, they bring the goal a little bit closer, a little bit easier. But for me, I'm hard on myself. I'm always saying, you know what, my goals are going to stay that way. If I don't reach my goals, then at least I die trying. 50 Cent said, get rich or die trying, babes.
I trust and believe some necessary conversations have definitely been sparked by tonight's conversations. Do share your thoughts with us on our various social media platforms. But until next week, it is good night from me, Nameto Samakula, and the First Issues team.